How you doing, YouTube? Joe here. Today I'm going to be doing a review on a rifle that I have, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story and kind of a problem that I had and a problem that was fixed. Okay. Here in front of me is an Anderson AM15. This is an Anderson Manufacturing's rifle from Hebron, Kentucky. It's the RF85 treated model. And I've had it for about 9 months. I've put roughly 3,500 rounds through it, give or take a few. And I've shot everything through it, and it's performed flawlessly. Okay. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I will say that with the RF85 treatment, I didn't really care so much for it because of a couple of reasons. One, they claim that you can clean it with soap and water, which you can, but it takes a massive amount of scrubbing because you don't have a solvent there to break down your powder residue or your carbon. Now, other people will tell you, or you will read, that the carbon doesn't stick to it as much because of the RF85. If that is true, it is so minimal that it almost isn't even worth mentioning because the carbon on this gun is extremely difficult to get off, just as it is with any other AR-15. So that claim I'm going to call bogus on. But the running with no oil, that is true. It ran with no oil, fine, and like I said, no misfeeds. Now, as you can see, I've got a little bit of oil on this one. I'm going to tell you why. With the RF85 treatment, I got so sick with it, I started using solvents and oils on it because it was just too hard to try to get it clean with soap and water, and it wasn't very conventional or economic for me. And with the barrel, obviously, with that being said, I wanted to put a different barrel on it. So I went to a store called Triggers in northern Kentucky, and while I was there, I noticed they had some stainless steel fluted barrels for a really, really attractive price, right around $200. So I picked one up. It was a stainless steel spiral fluted 16-inch barrel. Okay, now when I took it home, I put everything on and I swapped it out. I took it to the range and I could not get the thing to zero. So I immediately jumped to conclusions, got really upset, and I called the manufacturer. I had no idea they were in Mount Orab, Ohio, which is only about an hour from me. It's not a ridiculous drive or anything, and it's all highway. Well, I told him the problem that I was having, that it wouldn't zero, and he asked me a bunch of questions, obvious questions, what ammo did you use, things like that. But he was very, very nice while he did it. He said, well, you know what? It's not too far of a drive for you. How about you go ahead and bring your rifle out and we'll check it out? And I was fine with that. He didn't demand it. He just asked if I would. So I did. This morning I went down to AM Defense in Mount Orab, Ohio, or up to rather, and was greeted at the door with great, very friendly people. And Clay came out instantaneously and knew who I was. I said, it's really good to see you. Come in and check our factory out. And frankly, I was a little bit unsure of how they were going to respond. Are they going to say, oh, it's all your fault? Are they going to question everything I did? And they didn't. They did question, but they were just trying to make sure that I didn't do anything wrong. And after a few questions, it seemed that I didn't. And they took the barrel off to check it out. And they didn't have enough time to do that right then and there. So what they did is they put a new barrel on for me. This is not a spiral fluted, but I didn't really care. It's straight fluted, stainless, 16-inch, 1-in-8 twist, same thing as the other one. They installed this for me. Well, during the time that me and Clay had spoke, he started asking me a little bit like what I was interested in as far as rifles and stuff, and I told him I wanted to get in 3-gun. That's what I was building this rifle for, a 3-gun competition. Well, the Yankee Hill machine rail that I had ordered from Cheaper Than Dirt was really fat, and it didn't fit my hand roll. I don't have very big hands. I'm about 5'5". Well, he showed me this rail system that they had. It was a very similar system as far as length and everything else, but it's very, very narrow. It feels really good in the hand. Also, when I picked it up, I was blown away with how light it was, and I was also very, very blown away with the anodizing. So before I even had a chance to offer to purchase that, because that's how interested I was also interested in the way the barrel nut mounts and the torquing system for that, the engineering behind it, that is. He actually said, hey, throw it on there. And he threw it on, and I thought he was just letting me check it out, but he let me bring it home. He said, take it. Let me know what you think. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, guys. I'm telling you that I shot this rifle today, and with being able to get my hand around it, the other one I had the angled foregrip, I can get a much better grip and was gripping much tighter with this. I'm not saying you couldn't do the same with other similar rails, but I'm just saying that their product is great. Another thing that I noticed with this, and their engineer kind of pointed out to me, but I had already noticed, is if you see that angle piece of metal there, what that's doing is as this mounts onto it, which is super simple, by the way, as this mounts onto it, it actually goes on each side of the receiver, and that keeps any kind of play. Even if something was to come loose, you don't have any play. So that's a big upside. Also, they are going to be doing some drilling, so you can put like the, I want to call them like the Magpul rail extensions, so you can put like an AFG or whatever you want. But they do come with a full top rail that is actually full length and fits perfectly as well as the side mounts, and also they has the quick disconnect mounts for your quick disconnects for your slings. Now, getting further into that and talking about the Anderson rifle, they started checking my rifle out, just doing a general check, and their armorer noticed that my trigger was like a meat grinder, and I noticed that too. It was horrible. So he decided to go ahead and take it out and check it out, and noticed that it was really gritty and just seemed like it was filed. It had no smoothness to it whatsoever. So they actually swapped it with one of their hammers and did a little trigger job on it. And I'm telling you right now, guys, this trigger is super, super crisp. It has no creep anymore. Doesn't feel like grinding. And what I'm getting at with that is they didn't have to do this, okay? They didn't have to go through my rifle. They could have just slapped a barrel on it, and frankly, I would have been happy as long as it shot well. And it does, now that I've shot it, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But they did that. Also, they did another thing. With the Anderson rifle, the RF85 treated bolt, everything is RF85 treated, he pointed something out. Their engineer pointed out that this has, and it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but it has some side-to-side play. Now, I'm not talking turning. I'm talking side-to-side. You can hear that. They showed me one of their bolts and said, this doesn't have any side-to-side play. And they showed me a lot of their bolts and said it should not be like that. That could be causing headspace issues and everything else, even if the barrel's properly headspace, which made sense to me. I'm not an engineer, but it made sense. And so what did they do? They slapped one of their bolts in there. It says HM Defense on it. I don't know if you can see that, but it says HM. And it's really nice. It's very similar to the one that I have, but there's no play in it. And they properly staked the gas keys here. Those are all done the same way on this bolt. So let's just, and also they put a new castle on here because the one that was on there was crap. While noticing that when racking the rifle, they noticed it was really rough. I actually felt down inside the buffer tube, and it was kind of spiral cut. You could actually feel it, so that spring is riding against that. While that won't impede any performance, it's not very smooth. They also pulled out my retaining pin that retains your buffer, the little one you push down to get your buffer spring and buffer out. And the spring that was in there was completely bent and destroyed, which I don't know if they just forced it at Anderson, what they did, but they fixed that for me, again, without asking me for anything, and told me, hey, go try the rifle out and see what you think. And I got to tell you that it shot flawlessly. I took it out, put it on the bipod, and it only took me a few rounds to get her zeroed. And at 50 meters, I was shooting really tight groups. In fact, I can go ahead and show you on my phone here some of the pictures of my zeroing, because unfortunately I'm not that skilled with a phone. Let me get it in there. Where are we at? Where's the camera? So that was my group, my first group. And there was a couple flyers. That was not the gun, that was me, but there were some touching groups there. That was at 50 yards with nothing but an EOTech and a little bipod. This is also a video here I'm going to show you of me shooting it with that new grip or the new rail, and it shot great. Now I'm double tapping this, and there's almost no recoil, and that's because of the way I'm able to get up in there and really grip that. But the barrel stayed relatively cool. It shot flawlessly. And look, I just want to give a big shout out to HM Defense. Again, they're in Mount Orab, Ohio. They have a Facebook page. You can look them up. Just look up HM Defense. It pops up right there. They make all their rifles in house. Everything is made there. That's another thing, guys. They don't order parts from other places. Everything is made in house. And also, for the price, you're looking at I want to say about $1,200 is what I've seen the rifles for, give or take, and different features, obviously, like any company. But their uppers and lowers are billet aluminum. They're not forged, so there is no play. I tried a bunch of their rifles out, and there was no play in it whatsoever, and they kind of showed me their machining process and their quality control, and it is just great. Great group guys, outstanding products. They stand behind their products. Look, any company can have a failure. Any company can have a problem with a rifle or a part. It's whether or not they stand behind it that matters, okay, guys? With this company, HM Defense, they actually stood behind their product, and they went above and beyond for me, and I don't believe that was for any reason, of who I was. It was just, I feel like they would do that for anybody. So you guys really need to check them out. Give them a call, order a rifle from them, do something, but check out their rifles. And, see for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I'm just one guy. They're relatively newer at the AR-15s, but that doesn't mean anything. They're one of those diamond in the rough. Great product for a great price. And I'm thrilled with the customer service that they had. And I think their customer service is probably even better than their rifles. So you got to take that for what it is. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to tell you my experiences with HM and also explain my Anderson and the problems I had and what I liked. Thanks.